was trying to find a location to build their wafer fab. They could have built it anywhere in the world. We competed with many locations around the world. They chose us for a few reasons. One of them is they could build semiconductors here as inexpensively as they could anywhere. Partially because they built a clean facility. The labor force is relatively small compared to, I spent 17 years at Texas Instruments, and semiconductor industry has changed significantly. The wafers are much larger, more devices on each wafer, and the labor cost is much lower. We did some tax abatements along with Galatyn County to make their cost of operations lower. And in addition to that, the TI facility is there because the university provides employees that work for Texas Instruments, do research, do create innovation for Texas Instruments. And it's important. I talked to Tom Engevis, who was CEO at the time, and he's the person to my right in this photograph, or I guess my left in the photograph. But to my right in the photograph, I got it. I don't know. Anyway, he's the guy over there where I'm looking at the treasure. Nonetheless, what was interesting about this is that I talked to Tom, and he said the reason that it's so important to have the university there is because they need to be close to a research university in other parts of the world. It was a little more difficult. So we were able to get the state of Texas, instead of giving Texas Instruments money, give money to UT Dallas to build the research center, which is part of the reason this whole thing came together and part of the deal structure in putting it together. So that was something that was great for Texas Instruments and great for the university and great for the City of Richardson. So clearly a win-win-win proposition. And this was a ribbon cutting that happened about a year ago. So we now have, and they're building devices and they're in production, which is very good. Now, I showed you the map about DART. And this is east side, which is Campbell and US 75. We broke ground and we built it. And again, just an important initiative. I say Brick Road here. I can see that I didn't change the heading. What this is our recreation center. This happens to be Huffines, but we're getting ready to build a new rec center for Heights, which is on the west side of 75. But not only are we trying to build businesses and build communities, but we're trying to provide the resources around which people can recreate and have a great time. So we have ball fields, and we have the facility with weight rooms and meeting rooms and a number of things. So it's a neat deal, and I'm standing there because we did the grand opening of it a year ago, and it's one of those kinds of facilities that can hopefully make our community special. Now, when you talk about transportation, and I've talked about DART here a few times, and I'll do it some more before we finish, but it is a regional initiative. Transportation doesn't happen from Spring Valley and Richardson up to the Bush Turnpike. It's a regional map, and so we've been working on this Cotton Belt rail line, which will go from our Bush Station over to DFW Airport and on to Fort Worth. And you have to do that with a lot of other communities and the membership of DART and with the state and with the counties. And so we've spent a lot of time, and this was just a presentation that I made to a group of business leaders on the importance of getting behind this Cotton Belt initiative. We also have International Development Initiative, and it's built around business. A lot of international activities that happen in the Metroplex are built around cultural events, built around maybe sister city kind of events and that kind of thing. We've pulled a group of people together, and they're not all shown in this photograph, but But we have a group of people that are helping us develop a strategy around which we can promote international business to come to Richardson to create, continue to build our economy, and primarily around technology. And so we'll be announcing officially the total substance of this in January, but I wanted to touch on that because it's an important part of what we're working on right now as a city to create an international business initiative. Now, I'm going to move from sort of what's on the ground today and what we have done to a little bit more about where we're going. And I'll do that in some cases around DART again, because that is important. It's an important piece of connectivity. Without ability for people to get on a train or get in their car and go where they need to go, the economy of this community and of this North Texas area would not be as successful. So we've got to do that, and that's, I want to spend a little time on that because this is a station which we already have. It's that station at the top yellow arrow, and if you can read it, it's the Bush station for the red line, and just on the other side of Bush is Plano. So it's sort of a shared station with Richardson and Plano. And there, if you can see it, there is also a red curve that comes from Bush, goes over 75 and then up to that station. And that is the Cotton Belt line that would come from DFW Airport, few stops, get to UTD, make a stop, and then come back down and connect with the red line, and then continue north or go off to the east. But it's something that we're working on right now. Now with that comes development. And that land is owned by two groups, the Caruth family. And the Caruth people own land on both the east side and the west side of Central Expressway, just south of Bush. And they'll, within the next 2 weeks, we'll have a zoning request to approve some formal zoning on this. But these are some early conceptual drawings that they've shared with us. So on the Caruth property, it's a combination of office, retail, and residential. And the idea is that to create a center that is very vibrant and an important part of the community. And so that was a Caruth land on the west side of the dark rail line. You see that rail line on the photo, or on the drawing to the right. There's a line that is on the lower right-hand corner of the page and the picture, and it sort of goes off to the right, to the upper right-hand corner. So the station is there, and there is development surrounding it on the east, and then Parliament has property on the west, and they're looking at, same mix of uses with a lot of business development, corporate headquarters, that kind of thing. So our whole idea here is to build the center. Now, to give you some perspective of how large it is, if you're familiar with Legacy Town Center in Plano, which is on the Dallas North Tollway and Legacy, and the Mockingbird station down at Mockingbird and US 75, and the area in Addison, which is Addison Town Center, and our Brick Road, which is I'll talk about in a minute, which is down at Spring Valley at 75. You could put all of those developments into this piece of land, which goes from Plano Road to US 75, Renner Road, up to Bush. So it's a large area, and we'll go through the zoning on that in the next few weeks. And that is the key to creating a location for the Star Rail line in Richardson that goes to DFW Airport, so that when your families come in from wherever they come in from, they can ride the train and go pick them up. It says here. Now, timing on that is 2013 to 2015. So we're talking a fairly immediate, as government works, a fairly immediate project. Brick Row is, you've seen some of that. We've torn down apartments, we've torn down some homes. Spring Valley is sort of on the lower right-hand corner. The dark rail line goes across the front of that development, to the left or to the west. That's what it's supposed to look like when it's finished. Right now, the corner nearest you is pretty well completed, and some apartments are built, and a few townhomes are built. But a lot has to be built there, and so that's a project that's underway. This is that rail line at UT Dallas that I was talking about, and this is their conceptual drawing of what it will look like. But it will be on the very north edge of the campus, so it'll be surrounded by a lot of activities that are school-related for students, both living there and perhaps corporations. This is a station that we're planning at the Arapahoe location. The station is already there, but it's another conceptual drawing that the buildings that are there now are somewhat old and need to be replaced. And a lot of it's a dark parking lot. And the relationship that the property owners around it are trying to work with DART is to build this structure where the dark parking lot is now, and then build a parking garage for those who are going to be riding on DART. So we're trying to use as best we can all of the land we have in some effective way. We also have something that we put together called a tax increment finance district, or a TIF district. Now, as you go up and down 75, from Spring Valley up to Campbell, or Spring Valley up to Arapahoe, certainly, but this shows it going all the way to Campbell, there are some areas that need to be changed. And they've needed to be changed as long as I've lived here. And we have a variety of auto-related places and swimming pool places, and nothing wrong with those. It's just that they've been there a long time and they're kind of looking tired. And so we have created an area where any incremental tax revenue that's created in this area goes into a fund that can be used to create more development. So the money the taxes that have been created in this area can go back into the area. That's the way it works. The base taxes that we already have coming out of this area will continue to go to the city. But the incremental increase helps facilitate and escalate the development of this area. To your right or to the west, where 75 cuts through Richardson, is an area along Spring Valley going to the west over to Coit, if you're familiar with that area. And it's an older area and a lot of apartments, and they've been there a long time. We're working with Dallas on the south side of Spring Valley to create a new vision for that area. And a lot of what we do is creating visions and then trying to put policies in place to let happen what needs to happen. So I will hit this last item, which is, if you would, let me just go back just for a second. If you would to look at where 75 is going sort of from left to right at an angle through Richardson, the part down on the bottom of that, which is at Spring Valley, this is a conceptual plan we're working with the neighborhood and consultants on, that on my computer it works, but this one won't, because what I've done is I put on my hard drive an animated fly-through along Spring Valley to show what that was going to look like. Unfortunately, when I moved this over, I didn't have that on this thumb drive, and I should have. So you can't see the